Hi everyone, I'm Mary from Joyful and Mary Quilting, and I have a special Easter tutorial that I want to share with you. Some of you may remember this from a live we did about 2 years ago, but it's such a cute and fun pattern that I wanted to share the tutorial again with everyone. Now, there is a free pattern that accompanies this, and I do want to apologize right from the start that we did not have a down view camera when we originally filmed this, but don't worry. You can absolutely still follow along, especially with the free pattern, which is very detailed and it's going to walk you through each step. So today we are making a fabric Easter egg pouch, and it's just the sweetest little project. Now, this is the large size, but there are 3 sizes, and in the pattern you will see that you have the instructions for all 3 sizes along with templates, so you can choose which side you want to make. Now, the beginning of this video does a great job explaining how it all comes together. And I also want to give a special thank you to Joy from the UK. She originally shared this pattern on her website called A Rose Tinted World. And when I reached out to her, she very kindly gave us permission to create this tutorial. So please be sure to check out her website for even more fun and creative crafty ideas. So let me first show you the finished egg, which is right here, and the pattern, which is right here. And when you're ready, you can download your free pattern at joyfulandmaryquilting.com/egg. So let's get started and watch the tutorial. Before we get to quilting, I need to thank our sponsor, Bob and Brad, for this fun one. When I heard they had an eye massager, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, how do you even massage your eyes? That just sounded kind of odd to me. But oh my gosh, it is absolutely wonderful. All you do is put it on just like this, and it massages your forehead, your temples, and it feels so good. It's more than just an eye massage. It works around your temples and your brow area, and it just feels so relaxing. And it's got some music playing, I don't know if you can hear it, while you are relaxing. It just takes you to a dream world. If you spend time sewing or reading patterns or cutting fabrics or looking at screens or really doing any kind of close-up work, this feels really, really nice. It also has different settings. It's got a cooling setting, which makes me feel like I have just water running across my eyes. And then it has a warm setting, and you just use whichever one feels best. Now, I know I probably look a little silly wearing this, but once you put it on, you know what? You stop caring pretty quickly. And it really does feel like a nice break in the middle of the day. So if you'd like to check it out, we do have a link and a discount code in the description for this and some other Bob and Brad products. I love them all. And if you followed me for a while, you probably know I'm a big fan of Bob and Brad. Their hand and wrist massager, huge. Neck massager, back massager. They have all been really, really nice, especially for quilters. So we've got links and discount codes for all of them down in the description to this video if you'd like to check them out. Okay, let's get back to quilting. Those are the ones that I used for this particular project. If you're interested, any fabrics will work. Anything you want to do, you can have springy fabrics, you can have just different colors of fabrics. This one was just a fat quarter bundle that I had, and I liked the gingham look to it. I thought it was fun. And then on the back, it's just this same fabric that I have here. So if you look at all the different ones that I have, this is the very large one, the large size, and that's the big, huge egg. This one is very fat quarter friendly. If you're going to do this particular egg and you have fat quarters, it fits nicely on the fat quarter. So that's this big one. The little one right here, which I think is so cute, is this little tiny one right here. It's not that big, big as my hand. And this one basically holds something teeny. Now I put little chapsticks in here. You can put a little candy. You can put one of these in there. They'll fit the Reese's eggs or maybe just a couple of pieces. The fun part about this is that you can actually, like say you're giving a gift to a favor, something for school, just something to the family to put next to their silverware on your Easter table, whatever. You can either put the items in there so that they peek out, or it has this really nice little flap in here that you can actually turn this and cover up what is in there. So see, they don't know what it is. And then they get this nice little surprise right here. Isn't that cool? And then when they open it up, there they've got their present. Or like I say, you can just keep it this way and then they can see what's in there. And you can put anything in there, anything coming out. You can put a flower in there if you want to. You could put a quote in there. Maybe you have an Easter quote or a scripture or something that you'd like to put in these. You could make a bunch of these and actually have one a day that you display somewhere and just, open up a quote or a scripture or a treat every day for a certain number of days. So anyway, I just love these. I think they're so much fun. Now, I did add a little bow on here because I thought it needed a little extra, and I hand sewed that on. If I was thinking ahead, I probably would have sewn it first with the machine and then put everything together, but I didn't think about it until it was over. So that's what we have. I did not put one on here. Now, if you look at this one, this is just a packet that I put inside so you could see what was in there. This one, same thing. It's got the two Reese's eggs, but if I wanted to, I could just cover this up and then they wouldn't know what they were getting until they opened it, which is what I did here. This is the big, huge one. And this one, I just wanted to be a bundle of joy. So the flap goes down just like this. You can see that it's the same fabric. And then I had all kinds of fun stuff in there. I put a candy bar. I put a little candy. It fits a ton of stuff. I put this little from Hobby Lobby. They had some little Easter crafts, so I put that in there. You can fill it up with whatever you want, and you can give that as almost like not an Easter basket, an Easter pouch. So anyway, I just thought those were just the cutest thing. What we're going to make is the medium sized. So we have the medium sized. It's got all the instructions. The first thing you want to do is you want to print this out on some kind of a cardstock paper, just so that it's a little bit heavier and you can draw around it. Now, you don't have to, if you don't have cardstock and you don't want to do that, you can print it on just regular paper, but make sure you use some double stick tape or something when you're tracing around it so that it doesn't move. The cardstock kind of holds in place a little bit better. The other can move a little bit, or your edges can crinkle up a little as you're using the pencil or pen around the edge. So you just want to make sure that you're a little bit careful. You don't have a lot of watching to do. If it's secured to the fabric, even a little dab of glue stick is fine. Then you can draw a little bit easier. But I really recommend that you use the cardstock. It just works a little bit better. So let's take a look at our instructions. What do we need for this? Okay, so I'm gonna hold these up for a second and then we're gonna tip the camera down, but I just wanna show you what we need. First of all, for the medium, go to the pattern where it says medium and you'll need two 6.5 by 7.5 inch pieces. Now I chose two different fabrics. I chose this purple and then I chose this complementary fabric that goes with it. I just liked having the two different fabrics there. This will be the front and the back of the egg. So if we look at this, I'm going to take these little pieces out. Piece of candy, if you want. We will have the pieces of fabric. This is the backing, and then you really don't see the other piece. It's in there though, so you'll see it when you take the items in and out, but it's kind of hidden otherwise. So that's what these two pieces are. It's the back and then the piece underneath the flaps. Okay, so that's what you need. And you also need a piece of batting, just a scrap piece of batting of that same size, 6.5 by 7.5. I keep all my batting pieces. I've got tons of them and I always use them. I'm always using them for something. So you'll need that for this. In addition, then you'll also need two more squares that are going to be those two pockets, the top and the bottom. And those are going to be 1 inch larger than the previous 6.5 by 8.5, because we're going to fold those in half. And we want to make sure we've got them the right size so that they can overlap. They're going to overlap right here just to cover everything up. So that's why they need to be 1 inch larger. So that's all you need for this. That's it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is I'll turn the camera down and we'll just follow along. So here's our pattern. And if you look at the pattern, we're going to go down here to figure 1 and figure 2. We are going to fold wrong sides together. We're going to fold these pieces in half, matching those raw edges. So, give it a little finger press just so that it doesn't move when we take it over to the iron. We're going to do one, and then we're going to do the second one. So I'm going to give that a little press. And I did spray these ahead of time before I cut them with a pressing solution, just so that they would stay in place a little bit longer. So these are the two pieces. My raw edges are here facing me. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take these pieces to the sewing machine, and where that folded edge is, which is right here, I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch all the way along the edge. So you just, put it under your machine. You've got your seam guide on there. Just sew 1/4 of an inch on this one and 1/4 of an inch on this one, all the way across. So that's going to create those two pockets that will actually be facing each other. When we do have that sewn, you'll see that we want the raw edges at the top and the bottom. We want the folded edge in the middle. And then, as I said, they are going to overlap, and you'll see that when we put it together, but they're going to overlap, and you're going to have the bottom piece, and I'll turn it so that you can see what I'm talking about. This would be the bottom. This is the top, and they are going to overlap with the bottom tucked under the top. Now, keep in mind, we've got this sewn already. I'm not going to sew on the machine. It's just too hard to go back and forth. So I have done that already. And here are my two pieces. Now I've chosen to have this piece on the top and then this piece on the bottom. Now it looks like it's upside down. That's because it's directional. And when we turn it right side out, it's going to all work out. So the first thing you want to do before you do any marking, go to page 2. Figure 3 shows us how to put these together. So I'm going to show you that first. We are going to, I'm going to take the clips off just for a second. The bottom piece, wrong side up, our 6.5 by 7.5 inch piece. Okay, that's the bottom piece. This piece is actually going to be that inside piece that I told you that we don't see very much. Okay, so this first piece is going to be what's hidden inside, okay? Then we're going to place our piece of batting on top of that's cut to the same size. You don't need to spray baste or anything like that. It sticks together without any trouble. So we've matched all those raw edges. Then we are going to place our outside fabric. It's tucked in the middle, but this is the piece that's going to be on the back. This is going to be the outside piece right here. Then the next two pieces will be our folded pieces that we've actually sewn those 1/4 inch seams. So we're going to take them actually, I've got it facing you. So this is the top, this is the bottom. We want to match up those edges. We're going to tuck the bottom piece underneath the top piece, and then we're going to clip those pieces. Now, you really want to make sure that these edges are clipped right here, just because you don't want them to move. You want them to be straight across. It doesn't matter. If you want to clip the top, you can. Sometimes I think it kind of gets in the way when I'm trying to draw around my template, but if you want to clip them there or pin, you can pin them as well, and the pin does a good job. Now this is when we're going to use that template that we talked about, this medium-sized pouch template. This line, this dashed line, is really important because that's going to be positioned right here on this particular line, the fold. So I'm going to place it here. Do you see where I'm lining up the dashed line? We're doing that because you don't want your pocket to be crooked. You want this to go straight across here. If it's not, if you've moved it down a little bit, it's really hard to tell because you're dealing with an oval. So we want to make sure this keeps it right in place. So you're going to put that here. And then we're going to you can take a pencil, you can take a heat erasable marker. It doesn't matter what you use because it doesn't show. It's all going to be inside. I've got this heat erasable marker that I got that's really kind of cool. It works pretty well. And there is a link to this if you're interested. The way that this comes is it comes in a box with 4 different shells and then a bunch of ink cartridges. And then you just put the ink cartridge in, and from what I understand, it doesn't last super long, but when it works, it's a very fine tip. It does come off easily with heat. So that part is good. And I think if it gets below, I think they said 20 degrees, the lines may reappear. So you need to keep that in mind too. And that's what most heat erasables do. So I'm going to go around the edge. Look, it really does a great job. There's red, blue, white, and black that come in the box. And then the 4 pens so that you know what's in there. So I'm going all the way around. And there I've got it. It doesn't move. Even the big one didn't move, so it was pretty easy. And there we've got that marked edge. Now, I'll hold it up here so that you can see where we have marked that all the way around the edge. That's our sewing line. So we are going to sew all the way, it doesn't matter where you start, sew all the way around the edge. I did not use a walking foot. I just used my regular foot. It worked just fine. And when I get to these parts right here, because we're going to be turning it right side out, you don't want those to break. So I did a back stitch just right across there. I went up and back and up, and then I kept going. And when I got to here, I went back, back stitched there as well, just to kind of make it more stable. So once that was done, then hopefully it's a little hard to see, but there's an indent here of where I sewed. Now I pressed it, so that's why my marker lines are gone. But as you can see, this is all top stitched. Okay, so it's top stitched on here. Then we're going to cut it out. So I just used my scissors, my regular scissors. Any scissors will work. If you're brave, you can use your rotary cutter and just guide it around. I've had good luck with that, but I didn't do it on this one because what you want to do is you want to cut this to within 1/8 of an inch from that stitching line. Why do we do that? You can do a pinking shear and go around the edge, or you can go 1/4 of an inch and then clip the corners. That's fine. And I believe Jo does that. She uses a pinking shear. But if you just go about 1/8 of an inch away, you don't have to. And you get a really nice, smooth corner all the way, smooth curve all the way around the egg. And that's really important. So if you're really careful when you sew this, you don't want to get off the line, because when you get off the line, then you get those little points in there. But just go slowly, go all the way around, and then I'm going to cut it out. So I'm going to go just really nice and close, but be super careful. You do not want to cut into that stitching line, because if you do, it's wrecked. So I'm just going around. Isn't this just so simple? I mean, I'm taking forever to do this because I'm talking. But when I made these, you just whip them out in no time. You can make several of them at one time, and they make such a cute little favor, you might know people that if you're having people over to breakfast or something on Easter, or if you just have some friends that you want to give a little gift to, you can just put it in here. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be candy. Candy is nice, but it doesn't have to be. You can put whatever you want in there. And I'm just going around and cutting this. I'm going slow because I just really want to be careful. And there I have it. Okay. So now I've got my egg all cut out, and we're going to turn it right side out. So this is actually the wrong side, even though it's the right side of our fabric. So we're going to turn it here and here, and then we want to smooth it. And this is where a turner, a seam, a corner turner works. If you want to do that. Now I'm just using my fingers here, and I'm just running around the edge. But what helps is I like these little turners right here. And all they are is, if you get your nails done, they put dots on, you can put paint and put dots on your nails or whatever, but it's got a nice soft tip on it. And you can just go around the edge and make sure that everything is pulled out so that you've got your seam all the way out. You don't have any folds in there. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same with this side. Just want to make sure that I've got a nice looking oval, and that it halfway represents an egg. Okay, so look at that. Isn't that just the cutest thing you have ever seen? So here's our egg. Then I'm going to spray it, and and actually press it a little bit just to crisp it up. So let me do that. And make sure that that fold or that portion that's tucked underneath, just make sure that it's not wrinkled at all. You don't want it to be wrinkled. But look, there it is. There's my beautiful egg. Isn't that the sweetest? And then, like I said, I did put this on here, but you can do any kind of embellishments. I mean, think about this. You could make this a striped fabric. You could put rickrack on it before you actually put it together. You could do basically, now see, as I said before, remember we put it upside down, but that it all comes out right side up when we fold right sides out. So you want to make sure that if you are doing anything directional, give it a little test first before you finish up, or you might have something that comes out upside down. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and had fun making your Easter egg pouch, whatever size you chose. It really is such a sweet and versatile little project. If you haven't already, be sure to download your pattern at joyfulandmerryquilting.com/egg, E-G-G, all small letters, no spaces. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to give it a like and a subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future quilting tips or tutorials or projects. Thanks so much for being here with me today. And as always, I'm always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry. Thanks so much for joining me.